Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Mary's Meals UK Family Hour. These online events, initiated in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, while we've all been prevented from meeting together physically, have been a high point for us of 2020. We've so enjoyed being able to come together with Mary's Meals supporters across the UK and indeed around the world in this new way. And it's been great to receive so much uplifting and encouraging feedback about these family hours from those of you who have been tuning in. Thanks so much for joining us at the previous family hours, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. I understand from my colleagues that there are people joining us so far from Swindon, Cornwall, Oban, the USA, Hampshire, London. You're all very welcome. My name is Daniel Adams. I'm the Executive Director of Mary's Meals here in the UK. For Mary's Meals, this feels like one of the more positive legacies of this awful pandemic year. And we hope to be able to continue with these family hours into next year, 2021, even when it's possible for us to resume in-person events as well. That'll give us the best of both worlds, online and offline, as we look to continue sharing the Mary's Meals mission far and wide and building and deepening friendships with as many people as possible who share our belief that no child should be out of school and no child should go hungry in this world of plenty. As ever, please do bear with us if we encounter any technical gremlins this evening. My very capable colleagues, Alison and Steph, are doing a great job on the technical and organising side of things tonight. So if anything untoward does happen, please hold tight and we'll hopefully be back up and running before you know it. And similarly, if you hear a couple of border terriers barking in the background, or indeed a toddler screaming, please just know you're getting a delightful insight into my home life. Of course, we're now into the season of Advent, a time of expectant waiting and calm preparation ahead of the great joy of celebrating Christ's birth later this month. And Advent in some ways is of course intended to be a very simple and a very austere season ahead of the feasting and merriment of the Christmas period still to come. So if you are in the midst of a quiet and a sober Advent yourselves right now, please do forgive us our Christmas jumpers, our twinkly lights, and our jolly, happy, Christmassy moods on tonight's family hour. At the end of an extremely tough year for everyone, it feels right for our final family hour of 2020 to be one of celebration. And with Mary's Meals, we have so much to celebrate. For those of you who joined us at family hours earlier in the year, it's not that long ago that we were terrified about what the pandemic could mean for the children who receive Mary's Meals. In March, for a short time, we wondered, would it be possible to go on keeping our promise of a nutritious daily meal to those hungry little ones who so rely on us, all 1.6 million of them across 19 countries. But by a combination of incredible generosity from you, our supporters, extraordinary dedication and inventiveness by our programme staff and volunteers, and with a huge helping hand, as always, from Providence, we have managed to keep our promise. Whether it's through continuing provision of home rations while schools continue to be closed, or as is increasingly the case now, thank God, back in the school environment as well, Mary's Meals are being lovingly cooked and eaten all over the world now, today. So that's a great joy. But at the same time, we have to remember, all of us involved in the work of Mary's Meals, that with 64 million children still out of school around the world because of poverty, and millions more who are in school, but they're too hungry to concentrate and learn effectively, we've still got so much to do, and our work is really only just beginning. As we move into a new year quite soon, we're more mindful than ever of the queues and queues of children waiting to receive Mary's Meals. But having overcome together our worst fears about what could have happened this year as the virus took hold, I just think it's good to stop and say thank you for everything that you've done and are continuing to do to support our life-changing mission, especially given the very real hardships so many of you and your families will have been facing yourselves throughout this difficult year. Today, of course, the first COVID-19 vaccinations have been administered in the UK, so please God, things are very gradually starting to look up. So what do we have in store for tonight's Family Hour? Well, in a few moments, we're going to go live to Tubmanburg in Liberia to speak to my colleague Lusungu Ngulube, and later we'll be joined by top tennis coach and amazing Mary's Meals supporter, Judy Murray. Really looking forward to both of those chats. But first, you'll be pleased to know that unlike the previous Family Hours, you're not stuck with only me tonight hosting. I want to introduce you to my co-host, Gillian McMahon, who's our Director of Supporter Engagement and Income. And Gillian's going to begin by telling us a little bit about our current Double the Love campaign, which sees every donation until the end of January to Mary's Meals being doubled by the UK government. Hi, Gillian.
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. You're looking great. And I'll leave you to give your intro before I come back and speak to Lusungu.
Great, thank you. So Daniel mentioned, I'm Gillian McMahon and I work with our wonderful supporter engagement team here in the UK. 2020 has definitely been an interesting year for us all, and we've been so moved by people continuing to support us in different ways. We continue to be so inspired by the love that people show for Mary's Meals, and we're going to hear later from some of our brilliant supporters from around the UK, from Liverpool, Coventry and Blairgowrie in Scotland. As Daniel mentioned, right now every donation up to the 31st of January is being doubled up to £2 million by the UK government for our programme in Liberia. It costs just £15.90 to feed a child for a whole school year, and now you can double the love and feed 2 children for £15.90. I visited Liberia many times and there's a huge need for support there. 64% of girls are out of school in Liberia, which is the 4th highest rate in the world. Yet enrolment in the schools where we work is almost equal for boys and girls. And that just shows how important school meals are for getting girls to go to school and for both boys and girls to be able to learn and concentrate once they're there. This funding will allow us to expand in Bong County, where poverty is particularly high and food insecurity is also really high. We're already working in some schools in Bong County, and I visited other schools where we're not yet working, and I've met with lots of families and communities, as well as the local authorities, who have just asked us again and again if we can do more to provide vital support there. If we achieve our fundraising goal, we'll be able to provide meals for over 43,000 children in Liberia in Bong County, which would just be amazing. And we're really pleased to be able to hear tonight from one of our colleagues based in Liberia. So I'll hand back to Daniel to introduce him.
Thank you, Gillian. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you later. So we're just about to introduce Lusungu Ngulube, who's our program manager in Liberia. This has been one of the great joys of doing the Family Hours, is that we get to have these discussions that you can all hear directly from our program's countries. So it'd be great to welcome Lusungu on now. Hopefully Lusungu will be with us in just a second. Lusungu, I think you're on mute, my friend. You may have to unmute yourself. It's the trials of Zoom. How are you?
Hey, Daniel.
Muli Bwanji.
Dili bueno muri bwanji.
Ndili bueno, zikomo kwambiri.
Zikomo kwambiri.
I've been practicing my Chichewa since I spoke to Panji, who you know well, of course, earlier in the year, and he was quite critical of my Chichewa skills. So I've been trying to practice ahead of speaking to you.
You're doing great.
Good to see you, my friend, and I love the Christmas spirit of those antlers. Very good to see that.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. And your beautiful background too.
Oh, thanks a lot. My wife will be pleased at that comment because she spent a lot of time on this tree.
Good.
Let me give those who are watching a wee bit of background, because you and I first met each other in Malawi.
Yes.
When I first visited, in fact, quite a few years back now. And of course, you are a Malawian, but you worked for Mary's Meals in Malawi, and you've since moved out there to Liberia.
Yes.
And my big memory of first meeting you, Lusungu, is that you introduced me to Malawian reggae.
Black missionaries, I remember.
the Black missionaries. So
yes.
if anybody out there wants to listen to some authentic African Malawian reggae, then the Black missionaries are the band for you.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful rhythm the guys can produce. Yes, very beautiful songs.
Absolutely. So tell us a wee bit, Lusungu, about your work. What was it you did initially when you served Mary's Meals in Malawi, and then what's taken you out to Liberia, and what's your role with Mary's Meals there now?
All right. Thank you, Daniel. So when I was in Malawi, from 2013, that's when I joined Mary's Meals Malawi, basically, and I was working as a regional manager for the southern region. Basically, that's where Blantyre is, where the head office for Mary's Meals Malawi is. Yeah, so I was regional manager, managing this implementation of the school feeding program. So I had the school feeding officers and who supported schools. And then I worked for 2 years in Malawi and then moved on to Liberia. Yeah, so when I came to Liberia, I was basically, in the first year, I was the program development officer. And then a year later, I moved on to program manager delivery until this year, just soon before the COVID-19 pandemic, when I got into the program manager development and quality control. So basically, I'm heading the M&E, monitoring, evaluation, and learning section in program delivery. And so we so much looking at development of the program, as per se, and then also we're looking at the quality control. So we building capacity of our staff and also of our partners, the Ministry of Education from the government side, as well as the community, the school volunteers, the PTAs, and all people who come to support the school feeding program at school level. So the male section basically looks at how best we can implement the school feeding program in schools. Yeah, so basically that's my role in Liberia right now.
Fantastic, and always wanting to learn and improve the program and become even more efficient and working closely with the local communities. That's
exactly.
Great. Could you give us a wee overview then of the Liberian context? Why is Mary's Meals needed there? And could you tell us a little bit about the size of the program now? How spread across the country is it? And how many children are we feeding daily?
Right, history of Mary's Meals in Liberia, of course, then it was not Mary's Meals. I think at one point it worked under the Scottish International Relief. Yeah, and then later on changed to Mary's Meals. So then basically it was in around 1996 when we know the shed, when the shed was still receiving different donations to ship to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yeah, and there was a Father Pat Maguire. Yeah, who was close to Magnus, the founder, and at the same time, Father Pat had been in Liberia, and also as a missionary, he had his missionary friends, and one of the friends was Father Jenkins, commonly known as Father Gary here locally. Yeah, so he's still here. He's at St. Dominic Parish. I meet him quite often. Yeah, so Father Pat talked to Magnus that the effects of war in Liberia, people are still feeling the effects, and just as they were sending help to Bosnia and Herzegovina, maybe that some help can come to Liberia. So in 1996, that's when first shipping of stuff from Scotland came and arrived in Liberian port of Monrovia, and Father Gary received the first consignment. So from that time onwards, assistance was coming until when Mary's Meals was born. So as Mary's Meals feeding started in 2006 in Liberia. It's been quite a long time. Basically, it started in centers, what we call, which are housing right now. They're still there. They're housing the special needs people. So we have a leper community, people who are leper, say they are in the community, and you have the blind in another community, and people with hearing problems, the deaf, and so on and so forth. So those are the community that started basically receiving the Mary's Meals, and then people were getting the assistance from those communities. And then slowly it kept on growing and growing. And as I speak today, we're feeding 157,000 children across 4 counties and in 625 schools. So yeah, so roughly that's a short history about Liberia, Mary's Meals in Liberia.
No, it's amazing how that's grown. And as you say, it began, when Mary's Meals was previously Scottish International Relief, and with connections that were made back then. And obviously Liberia has a recent history of civil war that was the reason that we ended up there initially. So in more recent times, I think that the Ebola crisis that affected West Africa some years back was just slightly before you moved to Liberia. But we've been reflecting recently, obviously, on the fact that the experience we had during the Ebola crisis in Liberia was kind of a test run almost on a smaller scale for what we've been experiencing this year with COVID-19. Because we had to administer home rations to children at home and while schools were closed during the Ebola crisis. So in some ways it was wonderful for Mary's Meals. It was providential for us to have had that experience in Liberia, because we needed to then roll it out this year on a global basis to make sure all of the children that we serve were able to receive their meals. How has COVID-19 affected the program in Liberia? What's the status of things today?
Yeah, so the effects were great, very negative. First of all, schools were closed right from mid-March. The government just declared that all schools should be closed, trying to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus. And definitely after schools were closed, everyone was taken unawares, and children went home. And the food that we're getting in schools, definitely in March and April, they did not get it. So no lessons, no school feeding. And by the way, when we're saying some children literally depend on that meal in a day as their meal for the day, it's true. And those are the things that happen. I mean, literally little children did not have anything. So then, as you say, learning from what happened during the Ebola crisis. Of course, I was not here, but people were the staff that was here was able to give what we call take-home rations. So we did the same for the month of May and June, and part of July. We calculated the food, how much each child is supposed to get or to eat in school, and we put that food together, and then we gave the children as dry rations, so take-home rations. So the parents came, collected the food, and took it home for the children. Of course, the challenges definitely were there, because maybe we were just thinking maybe the food might not have just been for the child. Maybe they had a sibling who was not in school. Most probably they took part in eating the food, but it was one of the ways how we could assist. So it went on very well. And after that, then the schools were supposed to open again in September, and the government said there will be home learning. So we also gave food for September and October and November. So we had a second take-home ration exercise that we conducted, and children got more food. We calculated the food that they were supposed to get in the 3 months, and then they took it home again. Yeah. So that was it. So the schools were closed, no learning. Then from media, we're also learning there have been some sort of an increased number of teenage pregnancies. So all this due to idleness, children are just home doing nothing, and there have been an increase in teenage pregnancies. And then also Liberia basically depends on imports. And so because the globe was closed and no imports, no trade, so a lot of people suffered economically. There were basically no productive activities taking place. So many families really struggled. Businesses, a lot of things suffered. And as we speak now, the schools are open. Children are supposed to be enrolling in schools, but very few are enrolling because families are still struggling to raise fees for their children. But we hope in the next few weeks, maybe the numbers will pick up for enrollment.
Yeah. Thanks, Lusungu. I mean, it's great to understand all of that. It's a complicated picture still as a result of the pandemic, but it's great to hear that, you know, we're doing all that we can to continue to make sure rations are available to children. As you say, we mean it when we say that children really depend on that meal each day. Gillian was mentioning earlier the Double the Love campaign we have going on in the UK at the moment, and we're going to be raising money through January, doubled by the UK government, in the hope that if we meet our fundraising goals, we'll be feeding a new set of children in Bong County in Liberia, a county that I've been privileged to visit myself, and it's an amazing place, but it's a very needy place. How excited is the team about being able to take that generosity from the UK and use it to expand further, hopefully post-pandemic as well?
Very excited, Daniel, very excited. And everyone's energy are high up. So yeah, Bong County is, as you say, it's quite a unique county. Generally, you have, looking at statistics, if you compare with other counties in Liberia, as a county, you have over 80% of the population in Bong County live on $1.25 per day. And then you also have got over 18% only of children that enroll in schools, just over 18%. So 72%, I mean 82% is out of school of children. So when we were expanding in 2015, the Minister of Education was quick to point Bong County to say, okay, if you want to feed more children, go to Bong County because of these challenges. Yeah, so definitely now, because we are now feeding in 2 districts in Bong, in Swakoko and Jokali, out of the 12 districts. And if we get the UCAM, definitely we'll go to another district again, which will be very great. The districts where we have started feeding, we can already see the increase in number of enrollment. Yeah. So of course, the expectation is very high. We expect more enrollment, more classroom engagement. Of course, we also, as I said, it's quite a poor county, and we also expect a little bit an improvement on the economic of the people, because we buy from the communities. And then they are the communities that the ones that they cultivate the rice and then they sell to our suppliers, and then so in the end you find that the chain goes back to the money goes back to the community, at least to uplift their lives, to their economic pocket. So
boosting the local economy as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So everyone is looking forward to the grant if we get it. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so you've got your antlers on there. Are you taking those back to Malawi for Christmas, or are you staying in Liberia? What's your Christmas plans? Are you going home to the family?
Yeah, I will go home to the family, because just like in Liberia and Malawi, Christmas is family time.
Yeah.
So people share a lot of gifts. People come together to have fun, eat. Liberia likes football a lot, so we find people on Christmas, they're going for football, watching football. Everyone is in the football field. Yeah, so it's just time for fun, sharing and having fun. So yeah, they're going home.
I hope you enjoy your Christmas with the family, and safe travels to Malawi when you do head back home. Have you got is there a particular message that you want to give those who are watching, Lusungu, just to finish up?
Right, Daniel, yeah, definitely. First of all, Merry Christmas to all our supporters.
Very cool.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to all supporters. And when I was commenting on the how ready the team is for the UCAM, I said we're very ready. The team is very ready. The national staff is very motivated. And to the supporters, some of the national staff that we have right now ate Mary's Meals in school. And now they are working with Mary's Meals, supporting their children and relatives in schools. So it's not only Mary's Meals, some are in government departments, in other non-government organizations, different sectors in Liberia. People who have eaten Mary's Meals, now they're there supporting. So they clearly understand why Mary's Meals is there. And that's where the motivation comes from. So to our supporters, thank you very much. The national staff and the whole team Liberia is ready to undertake the activity. Thank you.
Lusungu, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I kind of feel like my spectacles are not flashy enough now. Give our love to everybody in Tubmanburg and the full Liberia team, and we'll catch up soon, I hope.
I will do that, Danny. I will do that. Thank you very much.
My friend.
Yeah, bye-bye.
See you later. Wow. Great to chat to Lusungu there. He'll always be the king of reggae to me now. So sorry to Bob Marley fans, but Malawi and reggae is my first love. Great to hear that positivity about children who've received Mary's Meals in school now working with us at Mary's Meals and in other roles and jobs, taking their place in different parts of civil society, so that they can be the young people who can, having been better educated or better nourished at school, can help to lift their communities out of poverty. So that was wonderful. Next up, we're going to go straight into speaking to one of our biggest supporters, Judy Murray, one of Britain's top tennis coaches, of course, and of course, mum to superstar tennis players Sir Andy and Jamie Murray as well. Hi, Judy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Thank you so much for joining us.
That's all right. Nice to be with you.
And I particularly want to thank you because I know you've had a bit of a croaky throat the last few days. So I really appreciate you giving it a go despite that.
That's all right. Do my best.
Are you calling in from Dunblane tonight, or are you in London, or where are you?
No, I'm in Perthshire, so I'm at home. I haven't left the house for about 4 days, but yeah, I'm in Scotland.
Cool. I've mentioned Dunblane because I would be completely, I would be slagged off by the people who volunteer at our Dunblane Mary's Meals shop if I didn't just give them a shout out and give Dunblane a shout out, because they're very proud, I think, of your support of Mary's Meals because of the connection to the shop there.
Well, that was really how I discovered Mary's Meals in the first instance. I think I went in and took some things in there for the shop to sell, and one of the ladies in there said to me about the backpacks that at that time that you were creating, and how you always put a tennis ball in them, and if I had a source for tennis balls, and I thought, you have come to the right person here. I have got a source for tennis balls. And she said to me, they don't need to be new tennis balls, they can be used tennis balls. So I went and spoke to Andy and Jamie's sponsors, who are Head and Dunlop, and they sent me some boxes of tennis balls up, which were new, and I delivered them to somebody. I can't remember where it was. I think it was somewhere in Glasgow. Yeah. And they went into your backpacks, and that was how I first kind of got a wee bit involved. And then I got the book. I bought the book, The Shed That Fed. And I was so taken with that. I put it out on social media, as you do these days, because it was such a wonderful story, because it was this shed in the Scottish Highlands and how it had grown. and now was, you know, feeding millions of children in so many impoverished countries. I was just so taken with it, and I put it out on my Twitter, and then somebody from Mary's Meals contacted me and said, would you like to do a few things for us? And I said, absolutely. So that was kind of how I got involved. So here I am.
No, and you, because of that, so many other people read the book because of your endorsement. So thanks so much for that. And you really have done a few things for us. This year you've fronted our Mother's Day campaign, which was just fantastic. And you also gave voice to our Radio 4 appeal on the BBC as well. So thanks so much for doing that. Is there anything in the shed that fed a million children, or about the mission of Mary's Meals, that just particularly kind of touches you? What is it, do you think, that's so special about it?
Well, I think that it was said already. I can't remember if it was you that said it or if it was Lusungu that said it, but the whole thing, no child should be denied food, and no child should be denied an education. And you try to bring the two things together by feeding children within places of education in these countries. And I think any mother would feel the same. We are in such a fortunate position to be able to provide well for our children. And I also love the idea of, I think it's good for us as parents to be able to show our children that not everybody is in the same position, and we need to care for everybody else, and we need to share what we can when we can. And you know, like today I went on the Big Family Christmas website, and I bought 6 places at the table for the 6 kids in my life, the little ones.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a good message for me to be able to say to them, here's something that I bought for you, and this is what it does. And you know, I just love that whole message of getting, because we it's so easy for us to forget how fortunate we are. And I know it's been an incredibly tough year for us here, but it's been a heck of a lot tougher for Lusungu and the children and the families in Bong County.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks for mentioning the Christmas dinner table on our website. That's just for people watching, that's the place you can go and set a place, feed a child for a year, and you can name the plate online. As you say, Judy, it's been a difficult year, and through your foundation, you're obviously trying to help tennis flourish in Scotland and the UK. What's the effect of the pandemic been on tennis, and with the vaccinations coming along and hopefully a light at the end of the tunnel coming, do you see kind of 2021 being different for tennis and sport in general here?
Yeah, I think tennis was actually fortunate compared to other sports. I think tennis and golf were the two that are most naturally socially distanced, because you play apart from your partner. And so I think tennis actually got a huge hit, a huge boost from everything else being shut down, and it was one of the few sports that was allowed to continue. So I think many people picked up a racket again that maybe hadn't played for a long time. Families came down and played together when courts were open outdoors. And I think most of the Scottish tennis clubs got a huge boost out of it. And the key, of course, to it will be that you retain these people when everything else opens up eventually. But it is such a great family sport. I mean, you can play from a young age till into your dotage. And of course, it works just as well for boys as girls. There's not many sports that can say that. So I think it's been a great opportunity for tennis. And, you know, they say, you know, in every crisis, there is opportunity. So, you know, as a charity, my charity is very unimaginatively called the Judy Murray Foundation. It's just a very small charity. And what I wanted to do was really to take tennis into rural and disadvantaged areas of Scotland where you wouldn't normally find tennis, you know, and give many more people the chance to play it. And so we basically invest in the local people, and we train people up to deliver starter tennis programs in whatever community spaces they have. They don't have to have tennis courts. It can be village halls or school playgrounds, astro pitches, you know, whatever. You know, really have always hated tennis's kind of middle class tag, and I wanted to try and smash that. So I've been doing that for about 3 years, and I really enjoy it. But it's just a small thing, and it's kind of my thing. Share my sport with as many people as I can who wouldn't normally get a chance to play.
Absolutely, no, and it's fantastic to see. And just thinking about kind of positive things for sport too. I'm presuming you're quite happy at the moment because Hibernian are looking like they might even overtake Celtic at this point, and that's my team. So I'm not very happy about how badly they're doing. But Hibs look like they're doing pretty well this year.
Yeah, I think I don't follow Hibs as closely as I should. I get very excited if it's like if they're getting somewhere in the cup. I've never really got so into the league since the boys were small. They used to be members of the Hibs Kids Club when they were little, and then when the tennis kicked in, they were usually playing tennis most weekends, and I didn't have to do the drives to Easter Road or where Dunfermline or wherever it was, and sit in the freezing cold for a couple of hours and buy pies and things with them. But yeah, I think I'm going to get involved a little bit with Hibernian women to do a little bit of helping to promote and advise them just in the life and business of being a professional sports person. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think I'm at a stage of my life where new challenges are always going to be good. Anything that's a bit different, a bit interesting. And I'm also hoping that when allowed, that I'll be able to come and visit one of your projects with Mary Scales.
We would love that so much. We're desperate to show you on the ground. So once the pandemic travel restrictions are gone, it'd be brilliant to organise that. I've just had somebody, one of my colleagues has just noted that a supporter on the YouTube chat has said that Judy's inspired her to set places by tweeting about the 6 places she set today. So you're passing it on, that you're causing the fire to spread. So thanks so much for that.
That's great. I noticed that when I put that out on my Twitter, that quite a lot of people replied to me and said, "Done it. You've just alerted me to it." And yeah, as you say, it's £15.90 for a place. But the fact that £15.90 can feed 2 children in a school for a year, I mean, it's just like, who would believe that? And £15.90, I was thinking, that's a couple of bottles of wine, and I can forego a couple of bottles of wine easily.
Totally, it's a no-brainer, really, especially right now where it's being doubled by the government in that way. So just to check in on, what's your Christmas plans, Judy? How does it normally look for you as a family? Is it going to be very different this year because of COVID?
Yeah, we don't often get the chance to have a normal family Christmas these days. I think since the boys really took off on the men's tennis tour, probably around, I'd say 2005, 2006, the start of the year, the tournaments are all either in Doha, India, or Australia. Okay. And they usually start somewhere around the 27th of December. So actually the chances of them being home for Christmas are nil. They need to go to where they're going to be competing to acclimatise and be ready to play. So Andy and Kim and the kids were up last year because he was injured, so that was a special treat. But this year I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure we'll end up being just doing whatever it is we're allowed to do up here with localized family. The boys both live in London, so I think they'll do their thing down there, and we'll just wait until the travel bans are over and everything is safer.
I
think I'll be up here.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. And so, Judy, just thanks so much for joining us again, for everything that you do for Mary's Meals to raise awareness, and thanks again for setting those places at the Christmas table. And I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Yes, absolutely. Speak soon. I put my sort of Christmas jumper on for you.
You joined in the spirit.
The whole Christmas jumper thing. I think I'm too old for that, but I've got a very sophisticated little Christmas tree brooch for you all.
Absolutely. Anyway, it's very classy.
And keep up the great work that you do.
Thank you, Judy. See you later. Wow, great to speak to Judy. That's really lovely to chat to her. She gives so generously of our time actually to support Mary's Meals. As I said, helping us to front our Mums Make Mary's Meals campaign earlier this year for Mother's Day. That'll be back next year. That's the campaign that celebrates how central mums are to Mary's Meals. In our programmes countries, where so often it's mothers who are cooking the food for the children, but also actually here in our fundraising and awareness raising, so often mums who are at the centre of so much of what we're doing. And of course, Judy is one of Scotland's, the UK's, even the world's most famous mums, with superstar tennis players Andy and Jamie as her sons. So thanks so much to Judy. I'm going to hand back now to Gillian. From one amazing Mary's Meals supporter to some others, Gillian's going to speak now to some different people who are doing wonderful things to support Mary's Meals this Christmas. Hi, Gillian.
Hi.
Did you enjoy hearing from Judy?
Yes, and so nice to hear from Lusinga as well, talking about that generational change. It's just brilliant.
Absolutely. No, he was very it was very powerful, the things he was sharing. I didn't have the heart to say to Judy that Scotland no longer has to pretend to be a tennis country only now that Scotland have qualified again for a football tournament. But we can be both. I'll leave you to it, Gillian, to introduce the next segment, and see you again soon.
Great, thank you. Thanks. So we're going to be joined now by 3 different groups of supporters. We've got Maureen and Blair Gowrie, and I think they're just joining us now, and Catherine and Robert in Coventry. Hello. And also Frank and Denise in Liverpool.
Hi, I'm just going to call Frank. Hang
on. Okay, but Maureen, we'll start talking to you first. Hello.
Okay, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So can you tell us how long you've been supporting Mary's Meals and how you first got involved?
Sure. I was a bank manager, and our bank was doing a matched funding for charity. So we were looking for a charity to support locally, and we thought we'd ask our customers. And one of our customers was part of the Mary's Meals group. And she was so passionate about Mary's Meals, we decided that was what we would go for. So I've been retired for 7 years now, but I've stayed involved with the group.
Brilliant. And what sort of things do you do with the group?
So we have 2 main fundraising events in the year. We have a Ceilidh in January, and we were lucky that we were able to do that this year. And then in the summer, we have a coffee morning and craft fair. And they're really the 2 main things that we do. And unfortunately, of course, the coffee morning and craft fair had to be cancelled.
Yes. So what have you done differently this year? How have you adapted?
Well, we've been amazed at how many people have started using Zoom and Facebook who probably would never have considered it before. And that inspired us to think about, could we do something different? So we wondered if we could do a virtual craft fair. So we did a bit of research and we found we could do it for absolutely nothing. There was no cost involved. So we thought we'd nothing at all to lose. So we set up a Facebook page for our Christmas craft fair, and we advertised it locally, again, all at no cost. We got in touch with as many Facebook groups as we could and asked them if they could spread the word, and it just took off from there.
Brilliant, that's great. And so you've managed to do that just through your whole group of people in Blair Gowrie who are just so passionate about Mary's Meals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just amazing. And you were telling me a nice story about a lady who you helped out. Do you want to tell us?
Yeah, a lady got in touch. She was looking for a Hermione doll for a wee girl. So it was the only thing her wee girl had asked for Christmas, and she was really desperate to find one, and she just couldn't. So put the call out, and one of our lovely ladies, you can see her, produced our Hermione. So the wonderful thing is Hermione will provide 125 school lunches, but we feel doubly blessed knowing that in a small way we've played a part in making that wee girl's Christmas wish come true.
Yeah, that's so lovely. I think you better watch. You might be inundated for requests for Hermione. Brilliant. So, and your Christmas fair is still going?
It is, yes.
So people can check it out. I think we're going to put the chat and put the link into the chat so people can check it out.
Yeah, and people don't have to be a member of Facebook or join Facebook. The link will take them through without having, I know a lot of people don't like Facebook, so they just don't have to. They will be able to do it and just email any orders or anything like that. So
brilliant, thank you so much. Robert and Catherine, can we talk to you now? Hi. I see you've got matching antlers, Catherine, matching to Lusingu. They're brilliant. Do you want to tell us a bit then about how you got to know Mary's Meals and how long you've been supporting us?
Yes, we'd love to. We've been supporting you since 2007, when Mary's Meals was part of still Scottish International Relief. And we heard about Mary's Meals from a course we went to, a family group camp, and we were so inspired by it. We thought, right, what can we do? So we came back and we got our church community involved, and then they funded a school in Balaka in Malawi. And having lived and worked in Africa for many years, we just understood the importance of children being offered an education and food and a hope for the future. So we decided to really get involved at that time then in Mary's Meals. So we've done barn dances, and we've made cards and Christmas gifts. And of course, that's all finished now. So we had to think, what can we do going outside the box? So because we enjoy walking, and we also love the tune, I Can Walk 500 Miles, I had a crazy idea and thought, okay, if they can walk 500 miles, we can walk 500 miles. So we thought, just do it. And that's what started our whole project of 500, we can walk 500 miles. We shared this idea with our parish community, and many have taken up the idea.
I think it was about the second or third walk, we met Maureen, who's deeply involved with the youth group and done a lot of fundraising for Mary's Meals, part of our parish. And just in chatting, mentioned what we were doing. And she spread the word like wildfire around the parish. And I think we've got about 8 or 9 people involved. There was a Pat.
Yeah, there's one lady in particular called Pat, who's in her 80s, and she has leukemia. And she's become so inspired about walking and recording what she's doing. So she's joined us, and she's getting her own sponsors. So it's really taken off. And the lovely thing that Rob and I have so enjoyed meeting people on our walks and telling them about Mary's Meals and little acts of love. So we're hoping that the more we walk, the more people we will meet.
That is lovely, and it's nice to have that something to do in that way just now as well, where you feel like you're doing something active, particularly at the with lockdown going on in different areas in different ways. It's nice that, and there's lots of people that have been walking for us, so that's lovely.
One of the things that quite surprised me when I started walking, because to be honest, I wasn't mad keen, I was just supporting somebody. I'm used to driving everywhere, and doing the walk, you start meeting people. You get time to smell the roses, look at the flowers, pause without causing a traffic jam. I've really actually thoroughly enjoyed it. And obviously the number of steps I'm doing every week has climbed up as I got slightly fitter. So I understand Mary's Meals are actually doing miles for Mary's Meals next year.
Yeah,
I think it would be great for people to join.
Yeah, and that partly it's also thinking about how much people walk in different ways to support Mary's Meals. We have volunteers who walk, up the hill with the food, and then we have children walking to school. We have supporters walking in support of us. So it's just really nice to think about different ways of fundraising where we can kind of bring all that together, that we're all walking as one global movement. So can I ask how far you've got? So now, are you getting near your target?
We're coming up to the halfway mark, and we've done 270 miles so far as of last night. So we've got a little bit in hand in case we can't get out because of pouring rain or something. So it's going well at the moment.
Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant, good on you. And Denise and Frank, you're with us as well. Good, nice to hear from you. How are you?
We're good.
Well, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good, thanks so much for joining us. Can you tell us a bit about how long you've been supporting Mary's Meals and how you first heard about it?
Really not very long at all. Well, in our parish, they have the choir have
a carol service every year to raise money for Mary's Meals, and one of the parishioners speaks very eloquently. So we go to that and we donate. So really, we've only actively wanted to sort of get very involved since I read Magnus's book at the beginning of lockdown. So very, very recently indeed, actually. But it was an incredibly inspiring, incredibly energetic book. It just sort of makes you bubble over with enthusiasm. So so we've been interested then, since then. So not very long at all.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. That's lovely. And for anyone who doesn't know, Frank is an acclaimed author, and you've written a nativity, you both have written a nativity resource for people to use in schools. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, so normally we do a nativity in church, which obviously we couldn't do this year. We were in Liverpool, so we've been in a very strict lockdown for a very long time. And then I suddenly thought that actually, if I wrote something that was in simple speeches said by each individual character, they could be filmed at home on an iPhone or anything by the parents or carers or family members, and then we could get them all in and put them all together, and then create a nativity that they could see, but also hopefully we can put up a screen in church. And do it then. And then a friend asked me if she could use it, and I said yes, she could, because she was thinking what to do at school. And then I suddenly thought, oh well, if she wants it, then lots of people might want it. Yeah. So that's when we thought.
It's really simple, and it's got loads of instructions on it, and the end product is so it's very versatile. You could make it, if your family is abroad, half of your family, you could all still be in the same nativity play.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's like extended families could do it, families that are separated, schools that are separated. And the end result is just a QuickTime file. So it's incredibly portable and shareable. So we were talking about showing it in old people's homes.
Yes, so somebody suggested, people just keep coming up with good ideas. Once you have one little idea, it just snowballs. So we've got 3 at the moment. We've got the parish one, and then there's a Key Stage 1 play and a Key Stage 2 play. So we're also making a couple for our extended families with different small members of the family that aren't going to see each other this year. And then somebody said, why don't we offer it to the nursing homes in the area so that they would get a chance to see a nativity? So, and if anyone else has got any other ideas, I mean, we could have an international one. There's no reason at all why it needs to be.
Yeah.
So it's down.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's just, so it's the end result is a sort of downloadable booklet that's on the Mary's Meals website. It's a PDF with daily script and also like a how-to guide in it.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's on our website, so people can access it as a resource. But our team's also been sharing it with schools all over the UK, and we've had a really lovely response from it. So thank you so much for creating that for us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, well, also, you need to know this. Every year we do a week in Advent on living on £1 a day. And we're doing it for Mary's Meals this year. It's so hard.
So at the moment we're on.
My goodness.
Yes, there's 4 of us.
We've got good at it because we've been doing it for about 5 years, but this is the first year.
This is the first year we've done it for Mary's Meals, but we've got 2 very
right now.
Yes. So literally we've got to get 3 meals a day for 4 people, including 2 large, hungry boys.
One of whom plays rugby.
One of it,
so he's blazing
on £4 a day. So it's a challenge. It is a challenge, but
I'm sure. And that's funny because Lusungu, who was on earlier, was just talking about Bong County in Liberia, where 80% of people, he said, live on less than $1 or $1.25 a day. So it's about the same thing. So that's really good doing that in solidarity. What sort of things are you eating then? How are you managing?
A lot of lentils.
Lots of lentils.
A lot of lentils.
Lots of lentils. And also food with yellow labels on it. So I got a loaf of bread today for 26 pence. So I was very happy about that.
Thrilled.
Yeah, actually, it is quite thrilling. You do get really quite excited when you think you can stretch it.
Well, we update the Just Giving page a lot. So if you look, you can still see other years in which the scandal of the cheese nibbler was exposed. And someone was caught.
You'd come down and find that every single thing that you buy is so very, very carefully eked out and measured out, and then a careless boy will come and shove all of it in his mouth.
But then he will be pilloried on the Just Giving page.
Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for doing that for us. we're just going to talk about, so Mary's Meals this year, we have a virtual Christmas table where you can set a place for someone. We do it every year, and it's it can be in memory of someone. But this year also, you know, we're thinking that it can be in place of someone who you can't spend Christmas with, who you'd like to, you know, or you can pick whoever you want to set a place for. So we're going to ask everyone who they would set a place for. Maureen, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, our fundraising plan for the new year is going to involve the bakers in our group, and we plan to put together afternoon tea boxes, which we're going to sell. So I'd set a place for Mary Berry and hope that some of her baking magic will rub off on me, because I'm really not a good baker.
That's brilliant, and it sounds like a great idea for next year.
Well, I think,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, I think that people might be looking for something nice after Christmas to share. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robert and Catherine?
Well, we and our family are very interested in music, and we've been so impressed by a young musician, Sheku Khan Mason, a brilliant young cellist who's achieved amazing success with his gift of music. So we feel we'd like to invite him to the Christmas table so that he can bring joy and inspiration to all of us.
Oh, that's lovely. And Denise and Frank?
Well, ours is very easy. It's not a celebrity, but it's we've got 7 children, and one way or another, it's legal for us to have 6 of them at home this Christmas. But our eldest son and his wife won't be able to come. There isn't any way we can square it with the rules and regulations. So we would like to have him at our virtual table. So Joe and his.
Well, we'd like to have our family.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And I'll bring Daniel in just so he can say thank you too. It's just great to hear all those stories, Daniel.
Absolutely. No, it really is. It's really inspiring to hear all the different things that you're all up to for Mary's Meals. It's always one of the things that's humbling about being able to serve Mary's Meals in a staff role, that we are made up really of lots of people who are giving their time, their money, their skills, their prayer for nothing in return as volunteers. That's really what sustains us. So it's always just a great privilege to hear what everybody is doing, you know, with their little acts of love, as we like to call them. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just seeing here that there's been so much love for all of you on the YouTube chat as well. So that's brilliant. Great. Thank you, Gillian. Thanks for co-hosting. So just to really wrap up, it's my final act of tonight. We've just gone over the hour, which is becoming the usual for these family hours. They're usually a family hour and a bit. Just to reiterate, thanks to the people who have joined us on Family Hour tonight, to Gillian for co-hosting, to Maureen, Catherine and Robert, Frank and Denise, who you just heard from, Lusungu, who joined us all the way from Liberia earlier, and of course to Judy Murray as well for her lovely words about Mary's Meals. We appreciate it so much. I just want to say a massive thank you to our communications team who just make these things run like clockwork now. So thank you so much to them. Before I just kind of say some final words, I just want to mention one particular country in which Mary's Meals works, and that's Ethiopia, particularly the region of Tigray in the north of the country, where Mary's Meals feeds 25,000 children. Maybe some of you have seen this in the news, but a terrible conflict has been raging there between regional and central government forces. And over the last weeks, it's been extremely difficult for us to be in touch with our colleagues on the ground in Tigray. Phone lines, internet has been down. Our partners there are the Daughters of Charity, amazing people who make sure that the Mary's Meals programme is implemented in Tigray. And we understand, thank God, that they're all safe currently. But I ask you, please, if you're somebody who prays, please do pray for everybody in Tigray, our partners there, and the children and families that we ordinarily serve. We are hoping, we've been hoping and we've been planning to expand to reach many more children in Ethiopia in Tigray, particularly as funds allow. And so we hope that it's still going to be possible to do that, you know, according to our planning. But of course, the first priority is the safety of everybody concerned on the ground. So send out your prayers, please, for everyone's safety, for the conflict to die away, for peace to reign this Christmas in Tigray, and for us to be able to reach out and expand to many more children there over the weeks and months ahead. And you know, just want to finish by saying again, the Christmas dinner table online, please do visit it and set your place. Great to hear earlier everybody's suggestions about who they're setting their places for. Every year, since the last couple of years anyway, I set a place for my granny who passed away around Christmas a couple of years ago. And it's always a nice thing to set a place in memoriam for somebody who's not going to be at your Christmas dinner table, or as Gillian was saying, for people who are still very much with us, but because of the pandemic or for other reasons of being overseas or in different places, can't join you. And in so doing, you kind of acknowledge that, but you also feed a child living in poverty for a whole school year. So there's that, and also on our website there are other Christmassy themed donation options. There's gift cards, there's digital gifts, there's Christmas cards that you can buy as well. And please do remember, all donations are doubled to Mary's Meals in the UK until the end of January by the UK government. And you know, I always just like to say to people that word of mouth is one of the key ways in which Mary's Meals spreads, and we're able to feed many more children. And you know, it's a powerful enough call to action to say that it costs just £15.90 to feed a child for a year. As Judy Murray was saying, that's just a couple of bottles of wine or something. But particularly at this time of year, where we have these match funding campaigns where people can donate and they know that their donation is going to be doubled by the UK government, we just find it can be an amazing way to bring new people into the Mary's Meals family. So please, if you take away one thing from tonight, please just go and find someone, a loved one or a friend or family member who you can just tell about Mary's Meals. Let them know that this is happening right now until the end of January, and see if they would like to get involved and ensure a hungry and impoverished child receives school meals for a whole school year. We wish you and your loved ones a very Merry Christmas. And, you know, as you unwrap the gifts under your tree this year, I hope you'll take a moment to think of the gift of Mary's Meals to some of the world's poorest children, and your part, our supporters, in making the giving of this precious gift possible. I just want to say how much your support is really deeply valued. Before I go, talking of unwrapping gifts underneath the tree, yes, Brian Alcorn, a great ex-colleague of ours at Mary's Meals, is on the chat saying how fabulous this tree is, and he's asking if it's real. I can't tell you, Brian, because my lovely wife won't allow me to allow you to peek behind the curtain of whether this is a fake tree or a real tree. But thanks very much for the compliment. She'll be happy about that. And I just want to leave you now with a little Christmas ditty from Malawi, sung by Shazia, who's an 11-year-old girl who receives Mary's Meals at the Jacaranda School for Orphans in Limbe in Malawi. And she prepared this wee festive tune, you'll recognise it, it's called Feliz Navidad, for her school concert. And she also agreed for it to be filmed to share with you tonight. So all the way from Malawi, here's Shazia singing Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas when it comes, thank you and good night.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas for the bottom of my life. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero you make it. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas for the bottom of my love.